All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mandy.
Hey, good morning.
How are you doing? I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Things are starting to calm down just a little bit over here. So starting to, for anyone who doesn't know, we moved over the last few days that you were on with Sarah on Monday. Yeah, Monday was our moving day, and it's been interesting. Like, we have very little furniture unless we ordered it online. We have no place to sit in either living room. So, but that's okay. We're still blessed and grateful and all of the things for our new place.
So did you get rid of all your old furniture? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we had sold everything. And kudos to Facebook Marketplace for clearing out our house. And then because we didn't want to move it and it wasn't going to fit in the new house and all that kind of stuff. And so we sold it, not thinking about, so how are we going to get other things? Like, we missed that part. So, yeah, and I had a terrible experience with Ashley Furniture where I paid for furniture that they won't send me. So I won't order things online anymore. It's just been crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, don't order anything from Ashley Furniture right now.
Oh my God, they are horrible. They are horrible. It's insane. I've spent, I kid you not, because I've kept track. I've spent 18 hours on their customer service line, either on the chat or on the call. I've spent 18 hours just trying to get them to send me what I ordered and I already paid for. And nope.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So what are you sitting on right now?
Right now I'm sitting on, we have a local furniture store that is delivering. And so I'm sitting on my desk and my chair, because this house has an office. That was one of the must-haves, working from home and things. And now everybody's working from home, so everybody understands the need for an office. But I work from home all the time. And so I finally got an office, and that's kind of what you're seeing. It needs to be painted. Next time we're on, it's probably going to be primed or whatever, primer. I don't even know. I have to do that yet, but so you'll see the metamorphosis behind me.
Wow. How exciting. Yeah. So exciting.
Yeah.
Before and afters. Ooh, it's like HD television for Mandy and Melody.
Yeah, so I'll be halfway done doing something and I'll be like, where's the contractor? Just find me someone who paints. Because that's not really my thing, but we'll do it anyway.
Right. I gotta admit, I hope that y'all, anyway, I had a few sangrias last night, so I'm not really at my best this morning. I just want to put that out there. I apologize to everybody. And welcome to Brienne. Thank you for watching, and Denise. All right. And the cool thing about today is we actually have a guest, so I don't have to do a lot of talking. So we're talking about the balance of life, and Mandy wrote a pretty awesome blog post about chronic stress. And so we're going to be talking about the balance of life, because right now it's kind of like all out of whack. So I'm going to bring up Miss Erin Kiger. Hi, Erin. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Morning.
Great. And so Erin is coming to us from Florida.
Yes. Almost to Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wish Las Vegas, right? Well, right now, there's no party.
What could you do? There'd be nothing to do in Las Vegas right now.
I don't know. There's a lot of driving nature type things that you can do. Although I don't know if Red Rock is open yet, but a lot of people, so like Heidi, right, has been doing bike rides and stuff like that down the vacant strip. It's a huge thing.
I saw that.
Really?
Yes.
It's awesome. I kind of wish I was there.
Oops, I hit my back. Yes, I saw Heidi Carr's post. She's another educator in our community, and she looks so cute if she's watching. But it was crazy to see. So tell us about your book project that you're working with EduMatch.
Sure. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So it's basically just it kind of, I don't know, morphed from this kind of silly little idea into something that was a little bit bigger, that basically said, when you're in education, regardless of your role, like if you're a teacher, if you're a counselor, administrator, central office, I have, homeschool parents, homeschool educators, any of that. There's really no way. Work-life balance is such a big concept right now. And in education, it feels like there's no way to balance the two. And so I wanted stories from like just this diverse group of educators, regardless of their role or where they lived, and how it looked in their lives. And I wanted them to share a story about how that lack of balance impacted them. And so, right, with the idea of saying, okay, look at all these educators, we're all struggling with something. And hopefully there's going to be a story or multiple stories in this book that you can relate to, and so that you never really feel alone. Because I know there have been multiple times throughout my career where I've just been like, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I'm the only one who is struggling with this, when, you know that you're not, but it doesn't necessarily feel like it. So.
And so what are some of this, like, can you tell us a little bit about the stories that you are, because it's a compilation of other educators' stories.
It is. I like to say, like, so I think, Mandy, one of your books is the, like, on the cover, it doesn't, like, it says compiled by, right? And I love that, because it's like, yes, this book was my idea, but I'm not the one that wrote the majority of the stories. Like, it's everybody's book. This is not my book. This is educators' book, right? And so there are some stories I'm part of 4 O'Clock faculty. There's stories in there from Don Sturm, Elizabeth Merce, that talk about, like, celebrating the hard work instead of just looking at the end result where everything is so, picture perfect, to, instead of celebrating that, celebrate the blood, sweat, and tears. Don talks about his journey through education, and he was incredibly reflective. Susie Henderson talks about, how she uses, like, working out to really kind of try to balance her life. There are some stories in there from another EduMatch author, Dr. Sam Festich. And so she gives some tech tips and advice on how to balance. I talked about, trying to teach when you're struggling with, like, multiple miscarriages. You talked about, life, like, you, Melody, contributed a story, and you talked about, like, it felt like you were getting knocked down, and then you'd balance, and then you got knocked back down, and then you balance, and then you end up in Alaska,
So be careful, because that's what could happen. Like, at the end of trying to balance, you could end up in Alaska.
Right? So just keeping in mind, Alaska is there.
Yikes.
I sure needed that. Thank you. Yes.
So, it's everybody's, it's so many different amazing perspectives and from so many different people. So it wasn't just 4 O'Clock faculty, it was EduMatch. Jeff Gargis from the Teach Better team. I didn't know what Teach Better was. I didn't know who he was. And he's like, yeah, I want to submit a story. He did. And now I know about these things and these people. And so this has opened up so many, like, connection doors. And the thing is we're, what is that? We're not all in the same boat, but we're in the same storm. Like, we're all in education. We all love education, but our struggles look different. But that doesn't mean that your struggle is different from somebody else's struggle. It just means it looks a little bit different. And it's a good feeling.
Right.
Unless you're in Alaska, and then you're just
I know. Mandy, you're on Teach Better. You're with Teach Better, aren't you?
Yeah, so I'm one of their, like, side consultants or whatever. So yeah, I love the Teach Better team. They are an amazing group of people, and I think that I think the work-life balance thing is really interesting because for a long time, I think people looked at work-life balance as 50-50. Like if you're not 50-50, you're imbalanced. But that's not actually what work-life balance is. It's not, and stressing yourself out over figuring out what is 50-50 is just going to add to the issue. And I mean, it really is like sometimes I have to work a lot and my family doesn't get as much attention. But then there are other times where my family gets more attention. Now, honestly, I have to be very cognizant of that piece of it because I'll work myself to death if I allow myself to. But there are other times where my family gets more attention and my work has to be put aside. And it's not ever going to be 50-50. And I'm sorry, my comments only come up as Facebook users, so I'm not sure who said this. Melody, maybe you can look. But it's work is a part of life balance isn't a static thing; it's a seesaw, not a scale. And and I think it's constantly in flux as well.
That's Brian.
That was Brian Costello.
Oh yeah, hey Brian, how are you?
And Brianne says it's more like a teeter-totter where it can tip in either direction by the day.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. And so I love the idea of balance. And one of the things I was thinking about this morning is I've been trying to do a mental health post every other day. And one of the things that I've been struggling with is not only my ability to find my balance and kind of get my feet back underneath me. I mean, everybody has lots of things going on all the time. And I don't usually feel the need to tell people how busy I am, but I've had kind of a crazy week. And so I'm trying to get my stuff back, underneath me. And one of the things that I've noticed is other people's pull at me. And I was thinking this morning about the need to understand when other people are trying to balance. So like not only balancing ourselves, but understanding other people's ability to balance as well. And I thought, well, what is it like? How do I filter things like opportunities that I have? Because like when you get, when you're involved and you're doing all the things like so many of us are, you get opportunities, right? And I used to take on everything and I got really good at not doing that. It had to be like a hell yes project. And it had to be, had to fit certain criteria. And now it's, like what I was kind of like, how do well, first I run it through, does it fit my purpose? And if it doesn't fit, if it does fit my purpose, is it a hell yes opportunity? And if it is a hell yes opportunity, then can it fit on my plate? And those are kind of like the three qualifiers. And one thing I learned from doing, and Erin, you probably recognize this too, like one thing that I learned from writing The Fire Within, where you're getting other people's stories, is that like my passion project or my purpose, whatever that is not necessarily somebody else's priority. Yeah. And so understanding that like my stuff fits in this can, like this jar that I hold. And if I need people to contribute to that, it's got to fit on their plate too, and being okay when it doesn't. And so those are kind of some things that were rolling around in my head this morning before we got on. Yeah.
Elizabeth Kennedy Merce says, I'm sorry, I don't know why I read all three of her Facebook names. I need more coffee. It's still very early in Alaska. And also when I meet people in real life after knowing their Facebook names first, like I always think of them with three names, if that's what they do. So I'm sorry, Elizabeth Kennedy Merce. Anyway, she says she loves the idea of fit. The size of work and life needs to change so the fit changes. At first, I thought it was an error. Like I thought she put an F on the it, but like F it. That's too much Grace and Frankie talk. I'm sorry. But anyway.
That's probably not far off either.
Right. But yeah.
And that's what I say when something has to fall off my plate.
Right. So we've already talked, and that's a good, so this is, So you wrote an awesome blog, and I dropped it in the comments, Mandy, and you said, like, and this is really common right now for chronic stress to be happening right now in this pandemic. And you talked about how mindfulness and meditation helps, practicing self-care, being very proactive about that. Oh gosh, sorry, I'm getting feedback on my phone. Oh my gosh, mute. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so sorry. So practicing self-care, and then setting healthy boundaries. And then you made it very specific, like pandemic specific. Can you talk a little bit about that for us?
Yeah. So I've been trying to do these every other day mental health blog posts, and I think Tuesday or one of these days. I honestly don't even know what day it is.
It's Thursday, honey.
Thursday.
I don't know, but it came out yesterday. I saw it yesterday. That was Wednesday.
There was one day I missed.
Yes, yesterday I didn't realize it was Wednesday. I already thought it was Thursday, but like, even though we didn't have our Mandy in morning, this kind of keeps me on track. And my friend, I was talking to my friend Matt, and I'm like, isn't today Thursday? And he's like, no, today is Wednesday. It's been Wednesday all day today. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I just wasn't there.
Yeah, a friend of mine was supposed to get back to me on Thursday about something. So today. And I thought yesterday was Thursday. And so I shot him off as snotty, like, seriously? And then like, oh, actually, it's Wednesday. So my bad.
I'm so sorry, but you were talking about being pandemic specific.
I don't remember. Okay, pandemic specific. Sure. So
I remember a few things if you can't remember.
Yeah. So the chronic stress thing, I think, is super interesting, because I had gone through it a little bit when I was writing Reignite the Flames. So a portion of that blog post is actually taken out of Reignite the Flames. And the way that chronic stress impacts your body is fairly significant. And not only that, but if you're dealing with trauma on top of that, like I talk in the blog post about, like, I have a very hard time telling when I'm stressed. And that's one of the ways that mindfulness has helped me, is because I don't have like the same stress response as other people, because I lived at such a high level of stress for so long that I have to be like over the top and above in order to start feeling the stress response. And so mindfulness is one of those ways that I can tell when, mindfulness, meditation, body scans, like doing those types of things. One of the ways that I can tell when I'm starting to get stressed, because my stress response just is not the same. And then as far as the pandemic goes, the setting the boundaries, and I've said this, and people have kind of laughed at me in some ways, because in some districts, the administration has not completely come to terms with what a workday is, but it's setting your boundaries as far as what you can and cannot take on. And I get a lot of requests for being on podcasts about mental health during the pandemic and stuff like that. And there are times that even if I want to do it, I have to turn it down, because it's overwhelming and it's too much. And that is setting a boundary, being able to say, you know what, I'm really sorry. I may be able to connect you with somebody who can and is willing to do this work right now, but this work right now is not something that can fit. And that's a boundary. Setting up work hours. I had to, one of the reasons that this had kind of come to light for me is that I actually had to put an out of office email on, or out of office auto response on my email, because when I tried to take 3 days off, I was getting hammered with people who were saying, emailing me in the morning and saying, can you do this for me? And then emailing me again in the afternoon asking where it was. And like I had to put an auto response. I'm like, guys, sorry, like you still have to be able to take sick days. Like you still have to be able to take off when you need to. You still have work time, and you have to be very clear on what those hours are. And some districts have been better about that than others. Some districts have said, nope, you know what, you stop working at 4 o'clock, your contracted time, whatever that is. Some districts have not. Some districts are still sending out emails at 7 o'clock at night asking for a response and things like that. So, if they're not going to set help you set your boundaries, you need to set them. And maybe that looks like putting an auto response on your email after 4 o'clock or whatever your contracted time is. There is very few things that are such an emergency that they have to be answered at 8 o'clock at night. And, I know I watch my own kids, and my own kids have been getting up at 10:30, 11 o'clock. And sometimes they're working on homework at 6 o'clock at night and they have questions. And when they email their teachers, I'm like, do not expect a response until tomorrow. Like, if you're going to choose to do your work during that time, be cognizant that if you have questions, you better not expect a response. And I think that those types of boundaries are super important all the time. But especially during the pandemic right now, because, one of the other things I was thinking about this morning, I do a lot of thinking in the shower. Do you guys do?
I do too, or on the toilet, both.
Yeah, I don't think I do my best thinking on the toilet, but in the shower.
All related. It's all related.
No. One, you're like, no, I'm not even going to get into explaining that.
To Melody, it's the restroom, bathroom area. It's the acoustics, the brain acoustics.
Right, putting on my makeup. Okay. Anyway, I'm so sorry, but go on. Yes, with your shower thinking.
Good God, I don't even remember. I don't know if I can remember what I was going to say.
I'm sorry, guys. I shouldn't even throw that out there because I hope I didn't make a mental picture for anybody. And oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like the coffee has not gotten in. You were just like, I do my best thinking in the shower. Well, it's like a routine for me, and I'm always thinking in the bathroom. It's terrible. But sometimes that's the only alone time I have in my life.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Mandy.
Okay, I don't remember what I was going to say.
Oh
so
God,
anyway, the whole boundary thing I think is super important.
I should have put a boundary in place that I should never bring up bathroom talk. I apologize. That is a new boundary that I will set in place.
It's once an episode that you talk about the bathroom or earwax.
Really? Or poop or boogers. You're right.
Yeah.
I have small children. This is my daily life. For real. Okay, so
I remember.
Oh my God. Okay, let's do this.
Okay, there's something about the boogers that set it off. I think that one kind of stress that I find that the pandemic is putting on me right now is that I am a future thinker. And so like I make my plans every day dependent upon what's happening in the future. And I have a problem with spending enough time in the present. Like that's just how I operate. And I know if that's a problem, like I understand that. But I do think that when you are a future thinker, it's difficult to be in a spot where that's forcing you to think in the now and not being able to look in the future, because we don't even know what that's going to look like at this point.
Right.
California just went into just announced another 3-month quarantine. Like they extended it out 3 months.
Yeah.
And
July, right?
What?
To July.
Yeah, something like that. And so like we don't even know what the future is going to look like. And I think that adds to chronic stress. Like we have no idea. I don't know why boogers are kind of in that. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that just blew me away. Wow. And the reason that I love that we're talking about this is because going back to Erin's book, I mean, like when you have sometimes I feel like the work-life balance is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, is it something that we can even achieve? I feel like in my own life, and I write about this when I contributed to your book, it's just like you bounce back. And a lot of times you go through something that's kind of, adversity, and then you get what you need and you go back in stronger or whatever. But sometimes, like what you were saying, Mandy, then you're under chronic stress. You don't always have to move to Alaska. You just have to find ways. Not everybody can move to Alaska. So you've got to find ways. And I love that what your blog mentioned was, steps. I mean, and being mindful in the moment. I struggle with that too. Thinking about the future, worrying about the future. I kind of had a moment, and I was texting you guys this week, Mandy and Sarah, and I'm like, thinking about like money stuff and trying to figure out like, what am I going to do? Because I don't know that going back into the workforce and the public education right now is for my family. So I got caught up in a lot of worry about that, and just being transparent about all of that. But we have no idea what the future is going to look like. We have absolutely no. So going there does create a lot of stress and can, throw your life right now off balance even more than it already is, Set on my email as well. I still get emails, but I do not respond to them. And usually by morning, I get another email that says, never mind. I Googled it. I figured it out. So yeah, not worth taking away from my family time at 8 p.m. Brian Costello says, most of my friends work after 5. Most of my kids work after 5. That's when they can. I respond when I can, but I won't do a video call or anything. So that's good. And thank you for everybody who are tuning in. We have quite a few people tuning in. Good morning, John, Brianne, Melissa. So yeah, it sounds like people are putting healthy boundaries, and probably at first it was really hard to put up any sort of boundaries because everybody was just trying to figure out what was going on. And then I know for myself personally, I got kind of stressed and then it kind of crashed. And you said in your blog, Mandy, that's a lot of times when you finally feel the stress is when you're just crashed, like it just hits you so hard. And I hope that like we can, as we start to like navigate through this pandemic and just life in general, that we can kind of get to those points where we don't have to crash first, Yeah.
Well, and I think it's super important to understand too, that like when I put things in a blog, and I think when we talk about things, like I'm sure even Erin with the balance and the mindfulness and all that stuff, just because I say these are good strategies to use doesn't mean that I try to do them the best I can. I am not perfect at them, and sometimes I'll even be kind of in the midst of stress and sometimes like this week, my book was supposed to be launching. It's delayed. I moved, 4 kids and my family. I have an all-day webinar tomorrow. I don't have Wi-Fi at my house. I have all the things going on. And how my stress manifests itself first is tears. Mm-hmm. And then I'll think to myself, oh, shoot. And then I'll think to myself, oh, I should practice some kind of mindfulness. And I'm to be honest, my first thought is freaking A, I am so sick of thinking of mindfulness. I say the word mindfulness 7 million times. Just because I say it doesn't mean it's not hard for me, and doesn't mean that I don't think to myself, I can't spend any more time meditating. I can't. I've been trying to meditate, and I've actually gotten up to 7 minutes. Do you want to know how I meditate the best? I'm going to give it.
Is it in the shower?
Yeah, no, I don't meditate in the shower. That would be weird. I'd probably fall over it. So I shouldn't even. This will give you a visual you'll never be able to forget. So it's actually a yoga pose with your legs up on the wall. I didn't know my body could contort honestly this way, but if you put your butt up against the wall and your legs up the wall and you're laying like this, that's how I meditate the best.
I have no idea how you do that. What?
For you.
You put your butt up against the wall. Do you stand on the wall?
No, I'm laying on my back. And then I put up against the wall with my legs up against the wall. I forget what the yoga is called.
Yoga, I have no idea, but I love that it took the toilet imagery away. So awesome.
And then thanks for putting that back.
Yeah. and there it is.
Going full circle, thanks.
But yeah, but I think that part of it, part of mindfulness and meditation and all those kinds of things is figuring out how it works for you. And so mine's probably not kind of an unorthodox way to meditate, but that's what works for me. But just because I say those things, I say you should establish healthy boundaries. I don't always have healthy boundaries. Sometimes I let work get the best of me, and sometimes I let people get the best of me. And it's hard to stand up for your boundaries once you've set them and people don't respect them. And so just because I say those things doesn't mean that I don't sometimes suck at it. And that's one of the things that I think it's important for people to understand, is that nobody's perfect at this stuff. Everybody is working at it all the time. And so yeah, I'm not giving you a demo. That's not happening.
I was like, oh, next episode of
No.
No. I'm just gonna say, right, because with the book, it's called Balancing the EDU Life, right? But you said there's no such thing as balance because it's not about balance. It's about choosing your priority, right? And so you
like Elizabeth said, choosing your fit. Yes.
Right. So you pick your priority. But Mandy, it's just like you said, when you were writing your book, like your passion project, your priority is not everybody else's. And so you have to be in control of setting those boundaries. You have to be in control of like your own mindfulness approach, because what you are is not everybody else's priority. You have to be your own priority, right?
Right.
And cheers
yeah.
to tears, because that's how I know I'm breaking down. That's a lot.
Yeah. But you know what? That's super, like, we show emotion for a reason, like, and tears aren't necessarily bad. You have to be able to recognize when you've hit that spot. And for some people it's anger, and for some people it's shutdown, and for some people it's
the F word.
Like, yes. Then you would be out of a flux all the time. Like, so that's not, can't be just the F word.
You weren't late, Elizabeth. We got
it time in the bathroom.
But you need to have that.
I need my toilet time.
That's your emotional.
Oh my God.
Moment.
Like I just, full disclosure, never mind. I'm not even gonna tell you about. Anyway, so I'm not even gonna tell you my sangria story from last night. Which is,
she didn't even remember she had the sangrias this
There was a little bit.
My son's in here. That is so cool. So before we get going, does anybody have any questions for Erin or Mandy? I know nobody has questions for me. They probably wish I would stop talking.
Stop.
That is not true.
And Erin, before we go too,
yeah.
when is your book scheduled to be coming out? Do you have an idea or?
So I've kind of been guesstimating like fall of 2020, but the truth is I don't really know. And I mean, I've said this numerous times, with the pandemic and everything like that, everybody has their own lives and things that they're trying to handle. Like you all and Sarah, who are kind of at the helm of this project for me. And if my project has to be pushed back, like I'm okay with that, because you got to take care of you, and that's fine. Like it'll come out when it comes out, and I'm super excited for everybody who is a part of it, and I'm excited to share it. But when it's right, that's when it'll come out. Like the stars will align.
Well, you know what I like what you're doing is you have like an author's page, right? You have a website, because you are constantly putting out inspirational things, realistic inspirational things.
So realistic. So what I did was a lot of the authors said that it was very like I think this is the right word, cathartic, right? To write the story and reflect on the struggles. And for me, it was, I felt the same way, but it also was insanely powerful to read them. Like I would read them and tears would be streaming, because I was like, I feel the same way, and so what I ended up doing is I ended up creating a graphic with a quote from each story. And so on my own like personal professional Instagram and my book Facebook, I just kind of push that out. I push it out on Twitter. So I try to do it once a week. And right now I'm trying to pick ones that I feel are appropriate for also like a pandemic. Like I think really we could have like a whole other section on balancing during the pandemic, but I'm just trying to pick the graphics that I think are really appropriate for right now. They're always appropriate for education, because that's the book, but the pandemic poses some unique situations.
Right. And what is the title of your book?
It's called Balancing the EDU Life. And
Awesome.
the hashtag is Juggle the Struggle EDU.
Right. And I hope that like I hope you'll put all of your information in the comments for anybody who's not already following you on Twitter, because you're like EGB Tech.
EBG Tech.
EBG Tech. And Mandy, Yes. And Mandy, you're Reignite the Flames. You guys have like similar, kind of similar topics. What do you know when your book is going to come out? Like, I know it's been delayed and I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it happens. So it will be hopefully by the end of the month.
Okay.
There was an issue with the cover that I wanted that needed to be addressed. So yeah, that was kind of one of the things that happened. But I'm just waiting for that to work its way out, and then it should be by the end of the month, I think.
Awesome. It is exciting. I'm so happy. I can't wait to read both of your books. I've got to read a little bit of Mandy's, and I'm just always thrilled. Oh, and I've got to read a little. Oh, that's another thing. Yes, I've got to read a lot of both of your books. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, guys. I am so sorry. I apologize.
This is so much fun.
I hope that everybody. Any last words from anyone? Before I close.
Oh God, last words. We're in a pandemic. Poor choice of.
I know, I'm so terrible.
Commentary. Good God. All right, everybody. Maybe I'll sign off today. Thank you so much for watching, and have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody. Oh, God.